Hello, everyone. Welcome into another edition of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Tony Sapita, and I'm joined by my co-host Nick Barr. How you doing tonight, Nick?
I knew you were going to ask me that, man. I know that's your thing. Um, how do you think I'm doing? How about I'll flip it on you this time?
I'm sure we'll get into it as we go along. That's a great point. I think we're all
Fair
feeling
enough.
the same way. So tonight we're obviously going to talk about a little Joakim Noah night recap because that was cool. That was probably the best thing to come out of tonight, I'd say, after seeing the final score. Obviously, we'll hit on the game as well. It was exciting. It was boring at times because the Bulls were losing. Maybe that makes me a bad fan. I don't know. Bad NBA fan. But obviously, the ending was crazy. Didn't turn out the way we wanted. But before we talk about all that, the early 2010s vibes are back. The bench mob returns in 2021 with guys like Alex Caruso, Kobe White soon, Javonte Green, Derrick Jones Jr., Io DeSumo. And head over to www.benchmob.com to get your benchmob shirt, wristbands, and more. Use code J20 to get 20% off your order. Portion of all sales goes to the Quiet Storm Foundation. That's CJ Watson's foundation. So with that, I guess we can start with Joakim Noah night. Little recap. Nick, what you got for us?
I just wish we had better circumstances to talk about this with because he is just the best. He always has these crazy outfits too, which I love. That hat was something else. Like it was almost like you could tell me his grandma knit it, but you could also tell me it was like $800 and I would believe anything, either one. It was one of those kind of articles of clothing. Anyways, so we got to talk Joakim Noah night. I wish there were better circumstances, but Nick, get over it. Get over it. Okay. So we made him our Chicago Bulls ambassador. So now he's like our Drake to the Raptors now. So he basically just has a cool title and no real job, which good for him because that's the American dream. We didn't want to retire his number. And Tony, we can talk about that a little bit. We all love Joakim. You know, he's like our Rodman. He's very special to our generation, right? But then when you start talking about hanging him up in the rafters, that's another conversation. So I think, we wanted to give him the next level up. He's always got a key to the city. Now he's a team ambassador. I hope we get him on the sideline like Drake is always out there, like flipping the towel, we're getting the camera on him during the games. Like he fits that beautifully, right? I mean, he's a great on-camera guy. So love Joakim. Just wish we could have got that win out for him. Because of course he wanted the Bulls to win. That's no question. And of course Tibbs didn't even crack a smile. I mean, they panned over to him during we did a little standing ovation for him, right? Did a little standing ovation. I think that was after the first quarter. And Tibbs, I don't even think Tibbs did one clap. But anyways, pretty cool. Obviously someone that we looked up to when we were kids. I remember like just playing like youth basketball, wanting to what would Joakim do in this situation every time I was dogging it and I wanted to go on the bench. He was one of those guys, man. So awesome to see him get his credit where credit is due. And then also pretty cool stat. Joakim and Jordan, the only two Bulls players ever to win Defensive Player of the Year. I think it sounds a lot cooler than it really is because it's like, well, yeah, no, like that sounds pretty much right? Like if we think about the Bulls, but the fact that Scottie Pippen never won Defensive Player of the Year is kind of wild. And I mean, and he was a top tier, like all NBA defender. So that just shows how awesome Joakim was, man. So I love that. Tony, what were your Joakim night takeaways?
Yeah, another guy I would probably throw in, first of all, for that Defensive Player of the Year thing. Surprised Luol Deng never won it. He was locking up LeBron before. It was cool.
Yeah,
but, again, that speaks to just, how dominant he was down low. And maybe I think the stats back it up. And even if they don't, that eye test, like that was never a guy you wanted to go up against. He was draped all over Kevin Garnett in like that infamous or famous series. I don't know that we talked about on the last podcast. So right. Yeah, overall, just, you can tell he was happy to be there. I know, Nick, you're going to talk about an awesome quote that just will make, if you guys don't know this quote already.
So
yeah.
Yeah. So we all need to feel a little bit better right now. And this kind of relates to what I said about, being a kid, playing the game of basketball, playing whatever sport it is, but just having that love for the game like Joakim Noah does and did have, I guess, more so. This quote sums up Joakim so perfectly, and like such a Chicago tough quote right here. I feel when I come to the game and see the guys selling newspapers on the street, and it's cold outside, of course. He sees me driving and he's like, let's go Bulls, get it done tonight. And Joakim says, I feel like that's the guy that I play for. And that just like, it just gave me the warm tingles. Granted, I saw that quote before the game, so I still was in my adrenaline. I still had hopes. But that made me feel a little bit better. Again, just a guy to look up to, love of the game, love what you do. So that makes me feel a little bit better after that brutal rip the Band-Aid off loss. But we did need to get that out of the way. And we got a quick turnaround, man. We got a quick turnaround. We got to play a good team in the Jazz. So Tony, you got anything else about Joakim, or should we talk a little bit about the loss tonight?
I guess I'll just give a quick shout out to those guys selling stuff on the street. Might as well, because shout out Joakim. He's so right. I have my dad, went to all the games in the 90s. I have shirts for him on here from just some dude down the street, just selling them for like
awesome
$10.
Shirts too.
I would buy, I would buy it for $500 now at this point. Some of those shirts, because they are just so perfect. Those newspaper things. I know the Blackhawks had a great one. We used to always get before the game. Shout out those guys. Those guys.
I love those guys.
They give it the atmosphere, and they are Chicago tough, because I grab it, dude. I go inside. They sell it to me. They're on to the next.
When we left the Saturday game against the Pistons, we were sitting at a light, and to our right, some greased up, just Chicago to his core guy. Couldn't be more Chicago. Probably a union guy or something. He's selling T-shirts at night. He was just, he's just flipping T-shirts. He's trying to sell us from the car. Our windows were up. It was freezing, and he's still like, "Hey, come over here." I mean, just that's Chicago, bro. So I love that Joakim realizes that, and that was like part of his drive to play. It just makes him relatable. It's just he's such a lovable dude. So, but Tony, we do have to dampen the vibes a little bit. Okay, I'm glad we started with that. I'm in a little bit better mood. I'll give my breakdown real quick, and then you can kind of fill in after that. So basically, rookie mistake. Okay, first of all, got a haircut at 7 p.m. I needed it so bad, Tony. I know I needed it so bad, dude. And I had already rescheduled it like twice, and I was like, I just got to go. And then I realized yesterday that was going to be literally during tip off. So that was terrible, rookie mistake. And I was so antsy the whole time. I was bouncing up and down. She's like, "You're all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." I was like checking my phone under the thing. But anyway, so I missed the first quarter a little bit. So you can fill me in there. But second quarter, to me, when I jumped in, Caruso was pretty much the catalyst for our entire offense. That's pretty much when I jumped in. And I just saw us giving up a lot of wide open threes. And I think that's the trend that we saw over the course of the game. That's probably what you're hearing from the talking heads. Like, we can't be doing that. And they're right. I mean, the Knicks had showed the other night that they're decent at shooting threes, but anyone in the NBA is going to be good at shooting threes if you're leaving them wide open. So that was pretty unacceptable. Another little bonus stat for you about our wonderful Michael Jordan, since no one's passing up him still, but Caruso, 3 steals in the first 4 games. Only Bull to ever do it. Tony, guess who?
Stacey K.
Close. He had 2 steals in the first 4 games. No, I don't know. MJ, man. MJ and the Caruso sitting up there at top. So that's pretty cool. But it felt like he was the only spark we really had. The Knicks did a pretty good job over the course of the entire game. If you look at the box score, they held DeMar 7 of 18 shooting, not great. Levine 7 of 17 shooting, so he kind of struggled again. Vooch finally stepped up, had a good performance, but basically down at half, I don't think we were playing to our potential. Knicks, it felt like they were giving us pretty much their all. They were just out hustling us. Could have been way worse is basically the theme of this game. I think it showed that we were able to claw back, not get our doors completely blown off after someone gets on a lead. It's a game of runs. We played back. Lonzo, again, I love the guy, dude. I do. Some of those passes in important situations are tough, man. But then he made up for it on defense. He was trying to spark us up, try to get out and get in the fast break. We didn't have as much, we weren't running on fast break as much. We weren't able to get into our Showtime Bulls mode as much as we were in the other games. So that, I guess, is credit to the Knicks. But we just need some more scoring. I mean, they had a solid bench. Our bench still needs to prove themselves, I think. But obviously, like I said, Caruso was the only one really providing spark for us. So glad to see Vooch kind of get the hang of his shot, though. I mean, that's something that needs to happen. So I'm looking forward to that. Tony, what do you got?
Yeah, so a quick comment on you're totally right about how we couldn't get out in transition. And, you know, seeing Zach LaVine, these guys flying around the rim. And I do think a lot of that was because they were just grabbing every board down low. And the only time we were rebounding is when we finally would put four guys, you know, crashing the boards. And then, you know, then everyone obviously can get back for the Knicks. So that I think that they really took us out of our game that way. And that's something I ended up tweeting out from the main account was it's going to be tough when we play teams like that, where Julius Randle's obviously a very strong power forward, but they also have Miles Robinson. They just have two big guys that can get to work down low. And we have Lonzo covering Julius Randle down in the post. I mean, that's not a recipe for success.
He did a good job, but that size difference is so, I mean, that's just not even comparable. So you got to give, I mean, I give Lonzo credit for even holding in there just because they're just built different, man. That's just how it is. But what was the other thing I was going to say? I don't know. Just keep talking.
All right. Yeah. So Lonzo, all credit to Lonzo for doing it. It's just more of, in my mind, he shouldn't have to be the one doing it. He's not the guy I want to be doing it. So that was more the point I was making.
I think I remembered. I'm sorry. I think our size, I think that really like showed as a weakness. And, you know, of course we're going about the season, the beginning of the season, like, you know, we're all riding high, good vibes Bulls. And we're like, well, a lot of teams are playing small ball anyway, we're going to be fine. But again, like you just said, this was an example of where, when we run into that kind of situation, and even RJ Barrett, I mean, he's a guard, but he was just bullying us, you know, like that's where some of our size, and strength, you know, our lack thereof is that's where it shows. So, and I think obviously having P. Will go out. I mean, he was having a decent defensive performance. I still want to see more from him. But he was out for the rest of the game with that left wrist injury in the third. So I think he could have provided some more force on Randall or RJ or whoever in the paint. But I couldn't agree with you more. That's going to be a big issue. So.
Yeah, going forward, we'll add a segment. Did Patrick Williams impress Nick Barr this week? We'll do that going forward. Sounds like
that.
It's a wash tonight because he got hurt. Of course, we hope that he's okay. I didn't get any word on it. I know he went down hard on that violent tap to the face by who was that? That was Julius Randle, right? And I mean, he fell awkwardly. That was more of what it was. Kind of flailed backwards. Knocked him off balance. So hopefully he's okay. My kind of just little wrap up was, okay, so I know Vooch hit a big three at the end that really, you know, that it cut it to one, I think, whatever it was. He's still so random with his threes though, and I still think he needs better shot selection. Obviously that one worked out
100%.
Unless he's wide open, like there was a great pick and pop situation with him and Zach. Zach drew both the defenders. Zach threw it back to him wide open, banged the three. But he was shooting some contested threes with like 18 seconds left in the shot clock, or like even like 13. You just can't be doing that.
Well, that's the thing is that when I looked at the box score and saw that his stats were actually pretty good, and he was shooting 8 for 13 from the field, I'm like, that's oddly, like that feels like he was way more efficient than he was, and I think that speaks to the shot selection part, because there were moments where you're still grabbing your head like, what is he doing? Even though, I mean, statistically speaking, he had a solid game. It's just that those are those intangibles, you know, that make a difference, especially in a close game.
Yeah, there was the one specific one I was upset about was I think we had just gone up one. It was after the flagrant actually on Patrick Williams, I believe, and it was kind of a, you know, we finally got the momentum, we finally got the lead, and it was just an early, weird, slightly contested three and he just kind of bricked it, and they came down, took the lead, got a couple stops. It was one where we needed to get a two inside, or we needed to get it to our, you know, guys that have a better chance of making three. That was really my overall take. I'm not. Yeah. I mean, you're right. His stats are pretty good, so I'm not too mad at it. I just think that can be shored up. The rebounding was tough. We mentioned that the rebounding stuff.
We lost that game, dude. Even if we somehow snuck that out, it was almost in the stars that we weren't gonna win that, just because everything leading up to it tells you, hats off to the Knicks on that one. So we got lucky. I mean, we got lucky, especially, because Julius Randle got another offensive board. And that was when, let's see, I think that was when that was before Vooch hit the 3.
Mm-hmm.
But Randall just missed it, right? Sometimes he gets a little erratic, not erotic. That is not the word, erratic down there. That'd be a sight. Threw up a brick and then came down. That's when Vooch hit the 3 that put us within 3 points. But dude, we got so lucky down the stretch there that, it was clear that we lost the game. Tony, I want to end this again on it. We started it. We're going to bookend with positive vibes. Started with positive vibes with Joakim Noah. Had to talk about the game, and then we're gonna bookend. How about our fans, dude? I don't know how many hot mics you caught about complaining about the refs, but I heard some phenomenal quotes that I probably won't say on here. But I heard a couple times the guy screaming about the ref and his FanDuel money that he's protecting and all this. It was amazing. Shout out to our fans. Let's move on to the Jazz, dude. Let's clap it up. Let's move on.
Shout out to everyone at the stadium, though. They got free Portillos for Julius Randle missing those 2 free throws. So congrats to you guys on that. Got to give you guys some big ups for that. I'm pretty sure, unless they change quarters. But I think it's the 4th quarter. But yeah, now move on to the Jazz. Nick, what do you want to say about the Jazz?
They're good, man. They're good. I think they're going to be, I think they're, did they win tonight? Yeah, they're good. They're undefeated going into our game. So, and we're not anymore. We don't have that. So we got, we got it. This is gonna be a test as to who we really are, because this is gonna start this started the tough stretch here with the Knicks. And again, that last year's Bulls, that would have been a 25-30 point loss. But at this point, we all know that these are new Bulls. So we got to get over the honeymoon shit, right? Where it's like, oh, thank God it's not last year. Right. But now it's this year. And so we should win certain games now that we're held to a higher standard. So that's how it is. So let's go Bulls. Saturday night, Jazz. Let's get it.
Yep. Rudy Gobert, I think, is going to give us hell.
That's going to be tough.
Absolute. He's going to clean up on the boards. So we got to hit our shots. That's going to be, we have to be disciplined.
Got to hit our shots.
Yeah,
I think we can shut down Donovan Mitchell. I know he's great, but our guard play is pretty awesome on the defensive side. So, we got to rebound the ball. I hope he will. I hope you're getting better, man. Come impress me. I know you're waiting.
Yep. So shout out to the Bulls. Definitely a game that in the past we would have just rolled over and died as soon as we went down 13. So shout out them for coming back. Of course, the final score was not indicative of the rest of the game, unfortunately, but it's good enough. Unfortunately, still goes down as a loss either way on the old standings. So with that, that'll do it for another episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Tony Sapita. Thank you again to my co-host, Nick Barr. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'll do my punishment, self-inflicted punishment. Forgot again. Next one. Promise.
Next one.
Guaranteed. Don't know what it's going to be. It might just
someone hold them to it.
Face. I don't know.
Comment. Hold this mother.
Yes. Hold me to it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll do it next time. I promise. Until next time, Bulls fans.
I just censored myself. That was pretty awesome.
Pretty proud of you.
Thank you.
We'll keep seeing red, everyone out there.